All right, we are here, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. What the fuck is up? Higher point of view here. It is your West Coast Packer backer, and this piece of cheese time, man. Allow me to introduce my guest, YouTube content creator, YouTube extraordinaire, sixth member of the Pack Attack. You might find him on a golf course somewhere in Minneapolis, Minnesota, somewhere chilling out. Mr. Dalai Rama himself, Big Bad TR. What's good with you, man?
I'm doing great today. It's a beautiful day out here in Minneapolis, so I can't complain. The stinging of last night has worn off, and I'm ready to rock and get ready to the next opponent.
You and me both. I'm ready to get to the next opponent, but as the days pass by, it's only Monday. I feel a little better and better and better, and I believe this conversation between me and you is going to be quite therapeutic. So, again, I forgot to say, hailing from Appleton, Wisconsin, y'all. So it's by way of Minnesota. Hey, this is a Wisconsin guy we talking to, and I admire your views on a lot of things, football and not football. So I'm just happy to have you on here. And let me just ask a question that I ask everybody. How'd you find my channel and why did you stick with it?
By the grace of God. Really, really, I I was not on YouTube. I wasn't making videos. I wasn't even commenting on any videos. But for some reason, in the suggestions, I ran into Big Nate's content, one of the members of the Pack Attack. And it struck me how passionate he was about the Packers. And I really took to his attitude. So I started interacting with him, and that led me to the other members of the Pack Attack. And I finally ran into your content, which I think is fantastic. I mean, no one in the world has views like you, and you bring something fresh and unique to the Packer ecosystem. Um, and I'm not lying when I say this. I think you are the star of the Pack Attack. From my opinion, your content knocks it out of the park every time. So I'm very happy to be here. It's really a pleasure to have gotten to know you a little bit within the Pack Attack and a little bit outside the Pack Attack. So that's how it came about you.
TR, I really thank you for that. Again, I really like your opinion on a lot of things, and I'm honored that you had such kind words to say to me. So, one more question I like to ask before we get started with everything is what are your origins? What are the origins of your Packer fandom? I kind of already got a good gist of that. You are born and bred Midwest guy, so I'm going to skip that question for you. So, you kind of answered it right now, but I'm going to ask you, what are the origins of your YouTube channel and making great content like you do in your podcast? Did you always think you would do something like this? Why did you start? And I hope you continue because I know you're good at it. So what are the origins of just you doing YouTube in the form that you've been doing the past few months? Where did this
Well,
start at?
well, I really appreciate you saying that. I really had no intentions of ever being in the public eye, period. I had no intentions of doing a YouTube channel or creating content of any type. With that said, when I went to college at the University of Wisconsin, go Badgers, um, I studied film and I wanted to be a filmmaker at one point in time. So the whole process of editing and putting together videos is kind of natural to me. So I love doing that stuff. And when I started interacting with Big Nate, it really inspired me to just start slowly and throw some content out there. It really just started with a few videos from my car, much like what you're doing now, just talking a little bit about the Packers. It started around this past draft, and um, as time goes on, I'm enjoying it more and more. So I'm looking forward to doing more content uh, with with the Pack Attack, with my good buddy Isles and just solo. It's been a lot of fun.
Hey, shout out to Isles. Hey, that's my boy too. I got love for him. Shout out to motherfucking Big Nate. You know what I'm saying? Just like you
Yeah,
said, a passionate guy. And me and him have shit in common because we are West Coast Packer backers. We didn't get the opportunity or blessing to be born in the Midwest and to be, born and bred as a Packer fan. But you know what? That brand, that logo is so strong. It's transferred over to many states, many countries, everywhere. There's Packer fans
yeah,
all over the place. So, I just like to really talk to you and thank guys like you, my boy Matt on my last video, guys who are really
yeah,
from that area. Like, I'm honored to even be able to talk to you guys like that. Cause out here, it's fair weather fans, it's
yeah.
a lot of mixed fans. There's a lot of Packer fans
Sure.
out here too, because they abandoned Los Angeles team for so long. We had to go out and create our own. I'm glad I'm a
Sure.
Packer. And we gonna get into the business now, man. So
Yeah.
it's all
What
good. It was a horrible week this week. But you
it
know
was.
me, TR. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. So we're gonna start with the good, okay? A few
All
things I
right.
just want to talk about this game, and I'm gonna start off with something good that I seen, and then I'm gonna get your opinion after this. But I'm gonna start off with special teams, okay? Amari looked good, and that's saying something because there's been times where he would
Mhm.
receive punts and do a lot of certain stuff, and he just looked uncomfortable. He actually looked confident and comfortable, and actually had a little swag to him. Hey,
Yeah.
just getting a fair catch. I seen after a fair catch, he's playing with the ref, giving him the ball this way, giving him the ball that way. He just has a certain swag about him, which I'm so glad that he's gotten it. And again, that's good as somewhere to start. Mason Crosby made a fucking point after touchdown. I'm not trying to be funny,
Right.
but this motherfucker missed 5 of them 2 years
That's
ago. He shanks a few of those. So to see the whole operation work smoothly, new long snapper Jack Coco. There was
yeah.
one snap that I might say was a little iffy, but other than that, that was solid to me. Mason made the PAT. I wish he would have had an opportunity to kick a field goal. We'll talk about that pretty soon.
Sure.
Um, to nitpick again with the special teams, there was a missed tackle by Ford, but that's cool. It was a missed tackle, but he held him up long enough for somebody else to come by. And I got another thing to nitpick about the special teams. There were 2 punts that had a little too much pressure for my liking. I'm still thinking about the
Yes.
divisional. So
Yes.
when I seen 2 of those punts, we got them off and it was a good job at the end, but it was a little too close for my comfort. So that's my good on special teams. And have at it, man. Tell me what you think about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. The special teams didn't do anything catastrophic. For the most part, they seemed invisible. They didn't they didn't impact the game negatively or positively. And that's a step forward for the Packers because I think we've been all pulling out our fucking hair about this special teams over the last few years. And you touched on a very big point, I think. We can accept physical mistakes, but we can't accept mental mistakes. And the mistakes you saw in special teams yesterday, I think, was purely physical, and there were no mental errors that cost us. So that is a step forward. They get a thumbs up in my book. One one thing that was a cause of concern was on one of the punt returns. I believe it was a punt return. You saw that Rodgers returned it for a few yards and landed on the back of Stokes' legs. That freaked me out for just a second because I've played football and I've gotten my ankles wrecked on situations just like that. And that's where it happens. These freak accidents where people are just falling around and they fall on your ankle in a weird spot. So while I think it's a good thing we're getting starters in on special teams a little bit, I just hope no one gets injured.
Hey,
So
I completely agree with you on that. And yeah, again, I played ball pretty much my whole life. And man, I seen even a play with AJ Dillon where, he's a hog. So he damn
Yeah.
near ran into the back of one of the linemen, tripped up and hit one of the back of their legs. So it's always tricky. That is another reason why I was skeptical on putting starters on special teams. I mean, not many teams do that. Belichick does it because, Belichick is so good that he can win a game on special teams. Other coaches don't think like he does. I'm not gonna get into Bill Belichick. So
Yeah.
okay, that's special teams. We're gonna move on. We're still talking about the good TR. It wasn't much again, but again, I'm glass half full kind of guy. One thing that I love that I did see on offense is we know what our strength is, and LaFleur is not afraid to use it. Our strength is the running backs. Okay,
Yeah.
hey, all kind of quick little outside passes, and even when they handed it off to him, they began to get a rhythm. Them two, what a fucking tandem we have. And when Kylan Hill comes back, he's going to make it even more dynamic because these guys are going to be able to rest and stuff. So I like how offense, they know what our strength is and they're using it. So that's number one. The two back sets I love it. I imagine it. I said they got to do this. I mentioned in videos, I said you can have them both line up in the back. Aaron Jones runs out to the slot. You cannot look at Aaron Jones and just say, oh, it's just a running back. He can't. He's just as good as a receiver, in these situations than, regular receivers. He can do some damage
Sure.
there. And I seen the defense. I was looking at the defense many times, whether it was our pre-snap motions in the back or whether it was you know, what I was just talking about right now with the two backs back there, it just changes the dynamic because we can hand it off to either one of them. And then we can just do so much with it. So I'm glad that Matt LaFleur has put that into his he's really using these two backs. It is really a best 11. He's not really just talking shit like that.
Yes.
Um it was really good to see Big Bobby back, number one, because he had the
Yes.
same injury as Bakhtiari, Elton, and Kylan Hill, and to see that he's the first one back with that same injury and he's playing a position where he really needs the legs, and to come out, make a catch, get some yards, didn't do much, didn't catch 4 or 5 passes for 70, 80 yards, touchdown,
Yeah.
no, but to see a guy come from that kind of injury and just come back in, and that was good for me. One last thing before I get your opinion on offense. Myers and Yash looked decent to me. Like, I will
Mhm.
accept the way
Yeah.
they played. But the
Yeah.
rest of them, Runyon got hurt. Royce, I never liked him at right tackle. I didn't want him there. He actually did better than I thought he would, but he still did bad, because I was watching. I'm like, okay, let me get this guy a chance. He still did bad, but he did better than I thought he would. I thought it would be a lot worse. But yeah, that's my take on the good things from the offense. I know it's a lot, but tell me what the fuck you think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key to this offense, especially early, is going to be the running backs, the different running back sets you have out there. You hit the nail on the head. You can motion these guys out. They are both excellent pass catchers for running backs, right? And like you said, even as if they were purely a receiver, they would be good receivers. They have great hands for running backs. The thing that really upset me about the game and the usage of the running backs is between the two of them, I believe they had 23 touches. That needs to be about 30 to 35, without a doubt. I mean, we're talking run and pass. We need the ball in their hands as much as possible, especially early in the year as we're getting our feet underneath us and we're getting familiar with the wide receivers and the system and all that stuff. So, if there's anything that I have to criticize on the offense for, the biggest thing is underutilizing the running backs. They tend to get behind, and when they get punched in the gut, I haven't seen a LaFleur coached team really fight back aggressively. They tend to go to the passing game a little too quickly, and they kind of abandon the things in the run. You don't abandon the run in your game plan, especially in the first half of a game. You just don't do it. So, this is going to fall a lot on the coaches, but what we saw with the running backs is certainly a positive. I'll also say it was great seeing Bobby Tunyon back out there. He looked good. He looked pretty spry. I'm actually shocked that he's back this early. That just shows you how advanced medical technology is now. I think back in my playing days, something like that would uh, 50-50 career ender, right? So that's really good news. But we're really just waiting for our big guns to get back on the offensive line. You're right. Royce is out of place there. A couple times I caught him and he just seemed all crossed up. He didn't know which way to go, right? Hanson obviously had a bad day. We're all screaming, why wasn't Tom out there to start? Why didn't you play him? Why didn't you get him in earlier? He's obviously one of the best five linemen you have, without a doubt, right? The best five linemen you have right now, I should say. But we don't know what's actually going on behind closed doors. Maybe Tom is uncomfortable with the system or the scheme in certain concepts or something. We simply don't know. It's easy to be an armchair coach and a GM here, but we don't know what really goes on. But with that said, running backs positive, Bobby getting back positive, Dubs looked pretty good. I think that's a positive development. So not all is bad on offense, but you know, we'll just have to wait and see the next few weeks.
And again, you mentioned it. I'm glad you did. And I'm just amazed by it. But I would like to give AJ Dillon credit for his hands. A big
Yeah.
guy like that, he's catching like a receiver. There was a few times Aaron flicked that thing to him and AJ calling for it and took that bitch in and just took off. So we got us a gem in AJ, man. And we already know
Absolutely.
what Jones is capable of. He does all that. AJ Dillon was actually the leading receiver, which we're gonna get on that later. I'm gonna stay on track. I don't want to get sidetracked. So I agree with you with that. That's the good in the offense. Now we're just going to talk about the good in the defense we've seen. We got a lot of bad to talk about, but this is what I think about the defense, the good things. Quay Walker, I loved it. Just his speed. Hey, he might not have been there. He might have let a guy get a catch, but he was on his ass not too far after, made the tackle, had a few big hit stick kind of tackles,
Yeah.
big tackles this game. I'm just excited. Sad that he got hurt. I don't know how deep it is. We'll find out a little later with LaFleur. We're never going to find out. He's going to stretch it out. But yeah, Rashawn early, he did his thing. And early. We need it to happen all game. Again, I got still got
Yeah.
stuff I need to watch. But another thing I seen, Barnes came in and did really good after Quay got hurt, but then he got hurt. Now I
Yeah.
did get some information on him. A high ankle sprain, they say, so at least it's
Okay.
not season ending. But
Good. Good.
these things are tricky too. High ankle sprain is just like, we just got it's like a hammy. Certain stuff is like, there's a timeline, but it's really not a timeline. So we'll see. But that was great news because they were talking when you get carted off the field, TR, like
Yeah.
that's bad. You know what I'm
In
saying?
a
So he
in
got
an
carted
air
off the
cast.
field.
Yeah. In an air cast, nonetheless. So yeah.
It, yeah, so I was worried. But again, Quay's speed and physicality, and I'm sorry to
Mhm.
say, Quay had a better game than Devondre, but we're gonna get to the bad a little more sooner. Kenny Clark, he dominated certain possessions and he got held a whole lot and they didn't call it. I
Yeah.
I hope the referees look at this kind of stuff because there was many times, TR, you've seen it, where Kenny is the closest guy to the quarterback and the offensive line got him by the neck like this. That means you're
Yeah.
already beat and the guy is in front of you. You're literally choking him. Like there's
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna throw a flag a few times and a few of those plays, Kirk got the ball off and it was a big play. Like refs got to get on
Yeah.
that. They pay more attention to linebacker and secondary stuff, but motherfucker, he was getting held. Kenny was getting held. He was handling Bradbury. Bradbury did get better from last year. And their offensive, hey, and credit to fucking Minnesota. God damn it. Okay, that's fine. Credit to them. They had a good game plan and everybody came to play. But and then the last good thing on the defense I want to say is we only gave up 20, if you really want to put it that way. The other field goal had nothing to do with that because it was just a position on the field kind of thing. So Aaron Rodgers led team to say if a defense could average holding an opponent to 20, you gotta like it, you know,
You
and
gotta do.
you gotta like that. So that's
Yeah.
it. That's all I have on the defense. One side note, TR, I want to ask you about, because people already
Sure.
clowning me, just like you did in your video where you said, "Look what I'm wearing." I went out. I had a lot of business to handle in the streets. I wore my beanie. I wore my shirt. I got a lot of comments from people. One guy told me, "Oh man, Davante went out there and balled out. Y'all could have used him today." So I said, "Yeah, that's right." But I said, "Did Davante win?" He's like, "No." I'm like, What the fuck doesn't matter then? We both lost. God damn it.
That's right.
And, this is a good look for all of us as Packer fans, because we say the first thing we say, how is this offense going to be better? Oh, Aaron's going to spread it around. Well, it was ugly, but the motherfucker threw to 10 different receivers yesterday. So that's good.
Very
He threw to
true.
10.
Yeah.
There was 10 different receivers that caught a pass. So that's spreading it around, So that's cool. But that's the only good I see, TR. We about to transition. I'm not gonna try to rant here, So
Well,
but
it's
yeah,
easy. It's easy to do because we want to rant right now. We're a bit frustrated, but first of all, I'll say I think that this first game of the season is just incredibly magnified. We've been waiting all off season. We went through the draft. We as a Pack Attack have been talking about the Packers for so long. We had such high expectations for this first game, and they just laid a turd. What are you going to do? But in our minds, I think it was so magnified and so important. It really is just another game. If you had the Packers going 14-3 at the end of the year, just switch that to 13-3. You're still in the playoffs. So that's a glasses half full outlook on that. As far as the defense go, I totally agree with you on Quay. I mean, he looked a bit tentative at times in coverage, but when he was in the game, it's kind of inexplicable. You could almost feel his presence because he is so quick and fast to the ball, and when he hits someone, he sticks the motherfucker, right? You're not dragging him 5 yards down the field like AJ Hawk back in the day. So that was a big positive. I thought the defense settled down and they started playing a little bit better as a team as the game went by. I mean, obviously the second half they didn't allow much. Um, I'm sure you're going to want to talk about the holes in the zone coverage, but if we're sticking to positives, things look pretty good. You're right. Kenny Clark was just getting molested at the line. And on top of that, if we're going to bitch about the officials right now, let me just say I noticed that Dylan was getting face masked and choked out by a lot of the defensive linemen of the Vikings. So um, hopefully, now we come at this from a biased perspective. So hopefully the refs called it a little more even, but I don't think they did. Right. But I think there's a lot to look forward to with this defense. Just like the offense, they're getting used to playing together, the new scheme and the new players. So that's a positive thing, and there's going to be many better days ahead for the defense. So,
I
and
completely agree.
last note, you mentioned wearing our Packers garb out in the community. Well, I went shopping, I went to the dentist, I did a bunch of things today with my Packer hat and shirt on. Not one sorry ass fan talked to me today. And in fact, people at work asked me, "Oh, did the Vikings play the Packers yet?" It's like they don't pay attention. They don't care. You know, there's just a few hardcore Viking fans who want to talk smack, but most of the people who live here could care less, and that's a culture difference, big time from Green Bay. So I just wanted to mention that as well. So far, no one's talking shit to me.
I'm glad. I'm glad and shocked to hear that because my
Yeah.
bored ass last night, man, I started looking at like Minnesota, the local news like channels, and they'll interview a fan, and these people were talking like that's why I told Big Nate earlier. I'm like, man, this was their Super Bowl, man. I mean, to somebody, to the real hardcore fans, like this was their Super Bowl because they were talking like this was like we wouldn't have been excited. I mean, we would have been excited for for beating them, but I think their excitement is just a little too much. It was more
Yeah.
bad Packers than good Minnesota. It was good Minnesota too, but it was more bad Packers on the reason of what
Well,
happened. Or I would like to say, but now, since I mentioned bad, let's get to the bad, TR. So we're gonna start on the offense, and you have to start with the drop pass, Christian Watson. So that's bad. I wish I could find an excuse for him. I wish I could say it hit his shoulder pad. He got discombobulated. I wish I could say it hit his face mask, but he just plain dropped that motherfucker. Me and you might have been able to catch that, but again,
yeah.
one thing I loved, I looked at his interviews after the game, and they were waiting. He was waiting on it because the reporters asked him, and he just seemed like he was ready for the question. He seemed irritated by it, and he just was like, I was about to say 10 times out of 10 I make that catch, but I now have to say 9 times out of 10. And then he just said it would never happen again. That's what you want. And I'd rather have it early than late. But again, while watching the game and shit's on the line, you talking shit with people, you want him to make that catch. But now he can put this in his photographic memory. And like he said, it ain't going to happen again. Whether it does or not, I'm not going to put nothing on him. But for him to have that confidence and just anger that he says, I make that play every time, it's okay. One thing I can say that I don't like is they should have went back to it. God damn it, Aaron. We know he dropped it. It's all good. He feels bad. Go back to him. I play Madden too much. I would have did the same play this next damn play and say, go do it again, but or saved it. But they could have saved that. He didn't hit up Christian again into the fourth quarter. And
Yeah.
again, Aaron, we got to change, man. We're fast tracking now. You don't have a bunch of vet receivers with you. You say you understand the situation and you want to believe in fast tracking. You got to go back to him. You got to go back to him. He looked good at pretty points in the game, Christian Watson. So what do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, could you write a better fairy tale beginning to someone's NFL career? Could you write it any better? All he had to do was squeeze. And oh, I felt bad for the dude. I mean, he sounds like a great kid. He says all the right things. He has a good attitude. I'm cheering for the dude really hard. I and is as difficult it is to say, that had a big effect on the game. It did, at least to start, right? Because you can't have a shot like that is executed so perfectly. He ran a great route, burned Patrick, and and just to have it drop. I don't know if that's a mental error or a physical error. Uh, Somewhere in between. So I guess I got to forgive the guy, right? We got to forgive, and he'll get better. And the one thing I think we're all worried about is that was kind of the knock of him coming out of college, that he had a tendency to drop passes. Well, get on the jugs machine. So, hey, hey, get him practicing punt returns, just receiving punts, things like that. Do anything to get him more comfortable with catching the football, um, because the game gets really fast. From what I understand, from going to the college to the pros, the biggest thing is the jump in speed. Everything happens fast, and I'm sure his mind was just racing out there. He's going to get better. I think the future looks bright with him and Dobbs. But you're right. We got to fast track these dudes. There is no time to wait. The time is now, and it will get better. But it was disappointing.
So another thing I want to say about Dubs is, again, great route runner, great talent and everything. Needs to work on his position in his body better to make catches, and he has to finish through with the catch. There was a time in
Yeah,
the preseason where he literally caught the ball and then he let the receiver, the defender, wrestle it away from him, and then it was an
yeah,
interception. There was a play in this game where he did the same thing almost, but it was more of a fumble. The defender didn't get to get the possession. It would have been an interception, but the ball just fell out a little late. Romeo slamming on the ground like, oh, it was on the ground. We won't have to have that it's
Yeah,
on the ground argument, young fella, if you don't just caress that bitch. Hey, go down and just it's St.
yeah,
College, just make a complete catch. He's done this a few times, and that's just me nitpicking. So I'm gonna
yeah.
move on. The
And
offense, go for it.
if I just quick comments, I mean that's another obvious example of the going from the college to the pro game. You know, he was obviously didn't encounter competition like he's encountering now, and you know the NFL cornerbacks and defensive backs, they're going to be physical with you, and you got to get used to it, and you got to play through it, and you got to do it now.
And to add what you just said, there was a Christian Watson jet sweep, which I was so excited to see because look, I've been
Yeah,
waiting for them to do that. He did it, but you can tell all that film I was watching him in college, like, he was 5 steps ahead of people. The speed is different in the NFL.
yeah,
These motherfuckers is fast. So Christian was still fast and he still got some yards,
yeah,
but I think even he was taken aback of the speed because he didn't start going upfield for a while.
yeah,
He was still going one way, like, okay, these guys are this fast. How am I gonna get out of here? He wasn't used to that. He's used to being the fastest guy out of the because a lower college, respect to him, but they didn't play a lot of great teams. So
yeah,
when you're looking at his highlights, it could be deceptive when you get to the NFL because the speed is totally different. And I think he noticed it on that play. I kind of read his body language. He was like, "Oh shit," because he's used to getting a little more options to when he's coming out of there like that. But
yeah, absolutely.
offensive line, Tr. Again, all the only Yash, I ain't mad, and Josh
No,
Myers, I ain't mad. But other than that, it was just horrible. It's cool. Even when Zach Tom got in, it was good and it was bad. But when Zach Tom comes in, this is a rookie against Tomlinson. Tomlinson's a good pass rusher. He handles Zach Tom on one play, and then I'm not mad at it. It's a rookie against a guy who's been in the league for a couple years, and a really good defensive lineman. So, but we just like you mentioned earlier, we waiting on our two main dogs, and I just think this is Green Bay being conservative. Green Bay, why would you start these guys in the game on the road where it's going to be harder? At Lambeau, the counts, offense knows, the crowd knows to be quiet during offense, so it might be a little easier for them. Maybe it would have been bad to put them in it on Minnesota. And even if we did have Elton and David, I think it'd still be trouble. We'll be better. We would have been better, obviously, because it's better players, but I still think Zadarius might have got a sack. I still think other shit might have happened because these are two guys coming back from injury. They haven't had live play in a very long time. What do you think
yeah,
about that, TR?
yeah. I completely agree. I think it's a double-edged sword. Um, it was bad. It was bad yesterday with obviously Hanson, Newman, Runyon got hurt. We didn't have our big dogs in there, but the one good thing is when you're playing early in the season and you have to play backups for a few games. What you're really doing is getting those guys seasoned. You're getting them ready. You're sharpening the blade, for a lack of a better expression. But uh, that may pay dividends down the road. Um, they can only learn from this. Obviously, Minnesota with their fake noise they pump in, that can be a problem for any offensive lineman, even the savviest of veterans. So um, we're just like we said, we're waiting on Bakhtiari and Jenkins. That's going to help a lot. Uh, Hopefully, Runyon doesn't miss time. Um, I wouldn't even be sad to see Bakhtiari and Jenkins miss a little more time just to make sure that they're ready. The Packers medical staff is notoriously conservative. So if they are practicing regularly and they are out on the field, you can be assured they are fully ready to play. So when we see them in the lineup, we're good to go.
Hey, great, great, great point. I agree with you. I'm going to transition. With that being said, with this offensive line, with me and you knowing the issues that it has right now and the issues that it had against Minnesota, Aaron, you got to get rid of that ball faster, bro. I'm sorry. Listen, How many times did we see Aaron pump fake 3 times and the third pump fake a defender's in his face? If you didn't
Yeah.
pump fake 3 times, get that bitch out of there. Take the penalty. Throw that bitch in the stands. Throw that bitch on the floor. It's better than getting a sack where you could get potentially hurt because you got sandwiched and fucking fucked up that game. He took a few. Hey,
Yeah, he
respect to
did.
Aaron. Respect to Aaron. He's underrated as a tough player because we came from Favre and Favre just looks tougher. But Aaron is a tough motherfucker. He took some fucking hits. Zadarius snuck one in on him too. I ain't mad. I'm a defender. If you a quarterback, you're gonna try to be cute, act like you running out there to block. I probably would have did more. So respect to Zadarius for holding back a little bit. Cause he could have walloped him. I would have cleaned his clock. But yeah, Aaron got to get rid of the ball faster. What you think?
Yeah. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. That is his MO. If he's had a chink in his armor, it's holding the ball a little too long. I don't know whether it's he's not seeing anything he likes downfield, or if he's trying to play hero ball and wait for something to come open. But he tends to hold the ball and take those sacks a little more than we'd like. I'm surprised that we didn't attack them more and more and longer with the short passing game. Maybe the looks the defense presented him wasn't pleasing to his eye. We'll never know. And they're not going to reveal those things to us because it's a competitive advantage. But from an armchair quarterback's perspective, I would have liked to see a lot more quick hitting passes, some slants, more stuff run out of the backfield. A screen? What did they run a screen? I
I
don't.
I,
I don't
I don't
remember.
I don't think so. And if
Yeah.
so, they did. I remember them running one. It was but Christian or Romeo, they didn't turn their head fast enough. You know,
Okay.
Aaron was trying. It was kind of like a bubble screen to a receiver. So we probably
Gotcha.
threw one, but not a running back screen. No, we didn't. I
Yeah.
don't believe so.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are things that we expect, but we don't really know what's going on the field. I mean, it's really easy for us to talk shit, but we don't really know. We don't know what they're seeing. We don't know what their concepts are, what they're trying to run. So let's cut them some slack. I think we both said the beginning of the year it was going to be a process, especially for the offense. So I know we like to talk a lot of shit, especially against the Vikings, but I'm not entirely surprised by this result. I'm not entirely surprised, and I'm not going to worry. I was mad as shit. I mean, I was yelling and hollering. My daughter was so wonderful. She even made a card for me, and it said, "So sorry for your loss." And inside,
Hey, that's
I mean,
nice.
but that just shows, people like us, we bleed green and gold, and and we may get a little fired up when things don't go our way. But heck, it's a game. We got another week. It's not the end of the year.
Hey, my daughter had like she had to do a report or something in school where she talks about like how every day of her week is. And on Sunday, she actually added on her report like, "Oh, my dad's, and my house is crazy on Sundays. My dad is yelling at the TV the whole time." So for her to put that in the report and to share that with a teacher, I felt kind of prideful. Like, you goddamn right, I'm yelling at the TV because I was having a fit yesterday. I was having a
Yeah,
fit. That's why I
yeah,
don't think I could do lives while watching the game. Y'all gonna think I'm crazy. But we gonna one last bad thing about the offense I want to say is the longest reception was 23 yards by Dubs. Like,
hmm
what are we doing? Let's take more shots. The,
yeah,
these were we were dinking and dunking a little, like we didn't try. I mean, again, we could have threw for more, but AJ Dillon was the leading receiver. Again, I
hmm
just gave you the biggest compliment of AJ of being a good receiver, but god damn it, I don't ever want him to be the leading receiver in a goddamn game. So that's one
yeah,
more bad thing I want to say about the offense. Again, he's fully capable of doing it, but I just don't even feel comfortable saying that. So hopefully Lazard makes a little difference, which I think he will. Lazard has given us some good Packer moments, man. He's made some big plays, man. What
yeah.
do you think?
Well, I think right now the best non-quarterback players on the offense are your running backs. Get him the ball any way possible. If that means Aaron Jones or is going to be the leading receiver, so be it. The point is to win. Get the ball in your playmakers' hands. And I don't think we can comfortably say Dobbs, Watson, or the Sammy the Hammy are really the playmakers now. So, again, it's a process, but I'm all for getting our running backs as many touches as possible. So we'll see what happens the coming weeks.
I will have to agree with you on that. Talking about the hammy, so yeah, we had coverage sacks, separation problems with the receivers. That's been talked about. That's just the rookies being rookies. They're learning the game. Sammy is not what he used to be. So I knew it was a problem when not a problem, but Sammy, again, he's just where he is in his career. They asked Aaron a question, he just was like, well, I just wanted to get Sammy the ball, get him, so for him to say it like that means he wasn't making open avenues for himself to get the ball. You would have got him the ball if he would have gotten open a few times. Aaron, they kind of made a play where he got the ball and he did good, and I still expect more and Sammy to get better, but again, tamper expectations.
Yes, absolutely. And I think Watson has talent. He's not over the hill. He was nicked by a lot of injuries. Has the cumulative effect of all those injuries slowed him down a little bit? Maybe. I don't really know. I haven't followed his career shortly, but we hope he gets on track and just everything starts clicking. I mean, you've played football, and the one thing I know about playing football as a team, that any given game, you might come out flat, things aren't clicking, and you just don't know why. There's just like something in the air, and no one person can turn it around. It just seems like it takes on a life of its own, and the end result is what it is. On the flip side, sometimes everything clicks and you're just massacring teams that you're supposed to lose to. So sometimes these things are just inexplicable. You say that, yeah, they're professionals, they're getting paid millions of dollars, blah, 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 blah. You can't change human nature. You can't change the way, these teams function and come together. It's sometimes weird shit happens, especially earlier in the year.
Great points. And I'm still expecting like Sammy's gonna make big plays this season.
Yeah.
He's gonna save games. And another small shout out to Cobby. We know where Cobb is in his career right now, but he can still find that spot on the 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, and get that first down for us. So that has value. Just him being a vet, I seen the way he manipulated his body to get open to make one of them first downs. And, Aaron trusts him. He's going to throw it to him. He shouldn't have threw it to him on that interception. That was a bad pass. But, yeah, Sammy's going to do big things. I agree with you. We're going to transition to the defense. But first, TR, I want to ask you, just like you said, you were a player like I was. People love to say, especially after the fact, hindsight is 2020, man, why didn't we have Jair follow him all game? Why didn't we have, first of all, like, listen, it's not like it used to be. These receivers move around nowadays. Now, back in the day, not even so long ago, like 10 years ago, when you had a T.O., you had certain players like him, and then Revis Island. It's like 9 times out of 10, T.O.'s going to line up on the side as the number one receiver.
Yeah.
Us last year, Davante lined up as the one. He lined up in the slot. The thing is, you move him around, so it would have been impossible for us to have Jair follow him around anyway, especially for the whole game, and that causes confusion because the Rams tried to follow Davante in that playoff game that we played the Rams. They tried to follow Ramsey with him. So what we did was put Davante in motion. He seen that Ramsey was following him. He quick back and went the other way and got a touchdown. Yeah. Ramsey got mad because the other defender didn't understand what happened. Ramsey, he's not Superman. He can't fly back over there when Davante hit him with a slick move. That was supposed to be you go over there and have my back because I couldn't make it over there, and I would have covered your guy. So that's why Jalen Ramsey was jumping up and down, crying. And that's why I think Jair is the best, because he's not that kind of guy. He don't throw his guys under the bus like that. Jalen would let everybody know it ain't his fault, and he'll point at who did it. Jair would just get up and walk away. That's why, that's the difference. Hey, Jalen might have him on the sides, but whenever they say best corner, I say Jair, people laugh. They say Jalen, they say the dude in Buffalo, but Jair's the best corner in the league.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of this shit wasn't his fault. But we're gonna move on to the defense now, TR.
Sure.
We're gonna move on to the defense. So I'm gonna just tell you some things that I seen. Devondre Campbell, bad angles, missed tackles. I don't know if you're drinking your own Kool-Aid at this point. You don't look like that kind of guy. I don't think you just walk in like, oh, I'm all pro now. But bro, you gotta tighten it up. There was a few plays I just was disappointed in Devondre. I'm shocked to say. And like I said, Quay was playing a little better than him. You know, I just don't know. I don't not know. I know he's going to get it together, but this is time for him to get it together. Just missed tackles, bad angles, and he just seemed like he was a step behind. So what do you think about that?
Yeah. I'll be honest and say I didn't notice Devondre much. He wasn't making any real impact plays. You didn't feel his presence like you did with Quay. So, yeah, is that just a one game blip? I don't know. We're going to see that. But I think what really concerned me temporarily, that's great news on Barnes. I didn't hear that. So I'm glad you broke that to me. Um, but having Quay go down and then 5 plays later, Barnes going down, that went from all of a sudden a position of strength and of depth to all of a sudden you're really thin there. So that was concerning. I hope these guys get back sooner than later. Um, it's going to get better. But I agree with you. I didn't notice anything great about Devondre, but let's just hope it's a one game slump.
Definitely, and that's exactly what he said. I like to watch these guys' interviews after just to get their emotion because I feel, I've been through a lot in life. I'm good at reading body, just energy and stuff like that. And he basically, he was upset at himself, and he just was like, basically, he was like, yeah, it's a long season. Basically, he's gonna get it together. So, what I picked up from him, psychologically, when I seen that interview, he knows what he needs to do, and he was not happy with the what he put on the field. So I'm glad I seen that from him. Him and Christian Watson watching the interviews after, you can tell. You can tell when the motherfucker's aloof, or you can tell when a guy just is nonchalant and like he don't care. He there for the money. You can tell sometimes with the way people answer stuff. If you care, you'll be able to tell. So I was glad
Yeah.
to see that. We're gonna move on the defense. The safety play was horrible. You know, Now, this is what's making me think it's coaching. I'm not trying to go there, but we
Okay.
know what Amos brings and we know what Savage could do. Okay. But they were just out of position. Like it was unlike Adrian to do one of them catches that Justin had. Well, I was looking at Adrian like, that's not like you, bro. Like, and I am sorry to say there was 2 times where Justin Jefferson caught a pass and there was not a defender within 8 yards of him. I'm being modest. I was gonna say 10, but I don't want y'all to think I'm just sitting here lying. 2 times this Justin Jefferson got almost 200 yards on us with 2 touchdowns, dancing and shit. Nobody around him. You need to have somebody on him at all times and something over the top. There was nothing over the top. I don't understand what was going on. But yeah, what do you think about the safety play? And look, I want to say it's coaching too because our safety play was bad in the preseason. So is it the players or is it the coaching what they're asked to do? Because it's been bad.
Yeah, I think it was just bad games for Amos and for Savage. I've never seen Amos look lost like that or back on his back on the heels of his feet like that a few times. And Savage, he gets turned around. He takes bad angles all the time. Let's come on. He's just got to get better. If he's not going to get better, if that's who he is, well, he's not going to be along. He's not going to be around too long. I do think that the coaching is a bit to blame because you really got to have a better plan for the likes of Justin Jefferson, one of the best receivers in the league. He burned you almost exactly like he did last year when they played in Minnesota. So we know they have the ability. The players are there and they are excellent players. having them out of position, miscommunication, having those big pockets inside the zone. That tells me the scheme and the coaching wasn't up to this, wasn't up to par. Just simple as that. Then we hear reports that Jair had been begging all week to cover Jefferson one on one all week. I mean, he is the best player you have in the defensive backfield. You got to find a way to get him locked up on certain players. You can say all day, oh, it's not as easy as it looks on paper, but that's why we have these coaches to have these schemes. They had the whole off season to prepare for the first opening game, and it was just it looked like these guys had never played with each other ever. So I put a little blame on Joe Barry and the defensive staff for that.
And TR, not only that, it's like, okay, the first half we seen what was happening. You didn't really make any adjustments. Like they came
No,
out in the second half and did the same thing. Like, what is really going on, man? Like, again, one game. I'm not gonna panic. I've read a lot of articles from Packers. I've seen a lot of videos from other Packers. People are upset, And then again, if you don't remember history, it'll repeat itself. We dealt with this last year, and now I
yep,
don't want to be apologetic, and I don't want to turn this into a thing. And definitely next year, I don't want to be like, oh, we might lose the first game. That's what the Packers do. I don't want that to be a kind of stable or a slogan that goes by our name. I want to win all these fucking games. And I want to do stuff different. I want Aaron to win in Florida. I want Aaron to win in games in the West Coast when it matters. You know what I'm saying? So, I just don't like narratives, and the only way we can do those narratives away is to break them. So we just got to go out there. Hey, I'm fast forwarding to the Tampa Bay game. We're gonna talk about Tampa Bay when we talk about Tampa Bay. But
yeah. I mean, in the end, those types of tendencies become a mental thing, and like we said earlier, we can forgive physical mistakes, but not mental mistakes. Break those tendencies. It's just a mental barrier.
all right, TRA man, thank you for your time, bro. Seriously, I've had fun. Listen, hey, we're gonna do a half hour, but hey, time goes by fast when you're having fun. I enjoyed this, but I just,
Yeah.
I know you're a busy person. I'm a busy person, so I'm gonna cut it short. But I really just like thank you for joining, bro. I had a good time, and any last things you want to say? I mean, your channel is already, you want to anything you got coming up, or last messages, Chicago, whatever you want to end it with. What you want to talk about?
Well, we're going to get to Chicago, our real rivals, not the Vikings. But thanks for having me on. It's been a lot of fun. And like I said, I've enjoyed your content. Every single video I've seen since I found you, I've thoroughly enjoyed, and I've learned a lot, and we've had some good conversations. So thanks for including me on this. To any of the viewers, hey, take a look at my channel. Subscribe if you'd like. We're going to get the Pack Attack on the podcast that me and my buddy Isles are doing. We're thinking of changing the title. I think we're gonna go vanilla and call it something like breaking down the game. Something simple, something that says what the videos are about. But we're gonna get higher point of view on there and the rest of the Pack Attack. And we like to bring in other people like you did with Matt last week. That was a great episode. He seems like a great guy, and I look forward to seeing more stuff with you.
Hey, I thank you. And hey, Matt is my boy. He is a great guy. And we're gonna catch up with him. We're gonna
Yeah,
catch up with him before the year is over. But hey, again, I thank you so much for, hey, thanks for coming on, man. I had fun. So hey, continue success for you. And again, y'all, watch this motherfucker's channel, man. Like, he gives great, great takes, and he looks at shit a different way, just like I do. So going and tune into that, y'all. But we out with this one. Hey, go Pack, go. Hey, Minnesota's over with. Enough crying. It's all good. Everybody cool. We was mad. It's cool. We moving on to Chicago. We got a different opponent now. That's what's so good about, football is back. It's not like we lost in the playoffs. We got to sit a whole summer on it. Next week, it'll be a new game. We're going to come out better. You got to think we are. It's against the rivals, Chicago. We own you. We've always owned you. You got to back up them words, 12. 12, you got to get it together, bro. You got to get it together. But on that note, we out this bitch.